Well, here we are back on Lower Broadway in the 400 block, Nashville, Tennessee, at Robert's Western World. This bar's been here for quite a few years, since the 90s. Actually, since the 80s is when it opened. And it had been the Showbud Steel Guitar Factory before that. They built them upstairs, and the showroom was downstairs where they sold them. Shad Jackson and Buddy Charlton, two Opry players, had their own brand of steel guitars and dobros, and they sold them here. Then Robert Moore bought the place and turned it into a Western wear store. It was Robert's Western Wear, and now it's Robert's Western World, and it's a bar that does strictly traditional country music. And the new owner is Jesse Lee Jones, and his band is Brazil Philly. And he was born and raised in Brazil, and they do traditional country music with a Latin flair. Now, the reason I wanted to show you Robert's was A, because it's one of the most popular hotspots on Lower Broadway for traditional country music especially. But also because Robert Moore is a fascinating character in his own right, the man whose name is on the sign. Robert Moore was an entrepreneur. He was the very first man to put live music on stage in these honky-tonks. Before his time, it had been all juke joints with a jukebox, a hardwood floor with sawdust on it, shots and beer and wine, and that was as extensive and sophisticated as it got. But after the Grand Ole Opry left downtown in '74 with the closing of the Ryman, business really dropped off, as we've chronicled before in other episodes. Robert Moore, in an effort to get the business back here, decided live music was the ticket, and he owned a bar, managed a bar called the Demon's Den. DEE-Man's ''S Den. So he put the first live music on stage and started the tradition that is still carried on until today, with some of the hottest players in Nashville coming down here to play just for tips in these bars. And a lot of people have gotten their starts. It's seen the rise of a few and the fall of a few others, but the tradition goes on thanks to Robert Moore. Another interesting fact about Robert is he was a bare knuckles boxing champ. And at one point there was an exhibition boxing ring, and they had exhibition boxing fights down here as well. And Robert was the final word in the rowdier days of Lower Broadway. He was the man that everybody called when somebody couldn't be thrown out of the bar or cut off. Robert was the one that took care of business. So he's a major part of the Lower Broadway tradition and history, and a lot of this wouldn't have been possible without him. So we had to include Robert Moore in our tour.